Hey everybody, Stephen Green here. Next episode, Stephen in 60 seconds or so, is live. We've got Sam Vakili back, investment retirement planner with RBC. He's going to tell us a little bit about what a U.S. government shutdown means. We know it's done now, but it could come back. So, Sam, why is this an issue, having a government shutdown, other than long lines at the airport?
Yeah, so the reality is whenever the government shuts down, there's different areas of the government that get affected by it. And the problem is if these people aren't getting paid, there's not a big incentive for them to work, which is why we hear about these issues.
Well, wait a second. So you don't get paid? That's not an incentive to work?
And generally speaking,
So
no.
I just want to
At
make
least
sure.
from what I've heard.
Fair enough.
So in this scenario, that's one of the things that affects them. But also the reality is there's no way to retroactively come back and find a way to create earnings from that lost time. So in this scenario, a 35-day shutdown ended up becoming a $3 billion loss that cannot be recouped. The actual loss was larger, but some of that can be recouped, especially federal workers. They will get their pay retroactive for the 1 or 2 paychecks that they missed. So this is why it becomes a bit of an effect on the economy, because now we have a GDP, or a gross domestic product, for the United States that's are smaller than what it was expected to be for 2019. That forecast has shrunk because you've lost, in this case, about a month. So if we have another scenario after February 15th when this deal gets renegotiated, or is supposed to be, we could go through another scenario like that. And the reality is we've seen probably a few other ones over the course of the last, we'll call it 15 or 20 years. None of them have been nearly this long or severe. One was under the Clinton administration, another one under the Obama administration, about 2 or so weeks. The other ones seem to be around 1 to 3 days in general. So the reality is this is a much longer one, which is much more severe, and it does have an effect on the economy because markets don't like this. When you see this happen, it actually creates fear, it creates reduction in forecasts, which then in turn affects markets, which is why we see a bit of a downturn whenever this type of thing happens. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't have another one.
Well, and you got people, I'll give an example, people maybe don't want to fly because they don't want to wait in lines, they don't have to deal with all the issues, and that's tough. And the weird thing is, I don't even remember the government being shut down before until you mentioned it. Mm-hmm. It's so, everything's with social media, and of course Donald Trump with his increased media presence. It's a big deal, right? So, people, it's a different economy right now. So
most of these agencies have some kind of reserve so that they're forecasting for the next 2-3 weeks to be able to spend that money. So it's not as though once it happens, immediately there's an effect, but that's why over time it becomes more and more of an issue, because once those reserves have been depleted, now there's no more money. Yeah. So it really needs to be a reopening of the government so that funds start to flow again.
Love it. All right. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, that does not happen. But if it does, that's the explanation as what could happen. So until next time, Stephen Green, Sam Vakili, any questions, reach out. We'll talk to you soon.